Chose promise, chose due, nous parlons à présent de femmes.
Today, we touch on women representation in the political class. A study by the United Nations Women and the Inter-Parliamentary Union, IPU, has just concluded there is a stagnation in the number of women represented in the branches of government, especially the executives of government and parliaments on a global scale. Now, the research document termed the 2017 Map of Women in Politics showed a slight decrease in the number of countries having a woman for head of state and all government compared to a report of 2015, passing from 19 to 17. Furthermore, it is a trend that began in 2015, where Africa has regularly lowered the number of its women ministers.
We have to say, according to the report, Congo and Zambia outperformed the rest of the African continent, adding 4 and 6 women ministries and reaching women's representation rates of 22.9% and 33% respectively. Identifying some of the challenges facing women who run for office, the executive director of UN Women, Phumzile Mlambo Nkuka, said political parties are male-dominated. When there isn't a specific measure in place, women fall off the ground and men tend to choose those who are made in their own image. Well, she also said that some women also experience pushback from men, including physical violence, taunting and bullying, while the media sometimes focuses too much on women's physical attributes rather than their experiences and political platforms. We are now joined by Judith Burlington, a political participation advisor, joining us from New York in the United States. Thank you very much for joining us in the program today. The issue of women's representation in politics has been for some time now a major concern for UN Women. The 2017 edition of the MAP shows a slight drop in the number of countries with a woman head of state and or head of government from the 2015 figures, but progress of women members of parliament worldwide continues to be slow. What is your stand on these results?
UN Women is indeed working to increase women's political empowerment. Just to note, we don't comment on individual election results, but we can see a trend overall where women continue to face challenges in accessing political positions, either at the national level in parliamentary elections, or indeed we see more at the head of state, head of government level. There are persisting challenges that women confront. First and foremost are stereotypes and perceptions around women's role in political life. In many countries, women aren't seen as political leaders and being able to lead, so I think this remains an ongoing challenge. In addition, we see that many political parties are not supportive of women's participation. Oftentimes, there's a lack of political will within parties to really support women candidates, support their candidatures, including through political finance. Elections are increasingly expensive in a number of countries. So I think there are persisting challenges that hold women back.
Well, Ms. Burlington, generally the lack of political will is identified as a main barrier to this progression. What strategies from women can be developed to push towards the improvement of this representation?
We see in countries where there is political will by the leaders that the representation of women can be increased relatively quickly. We saw this in Canada, for example. Political will is first and foremost one of the key barriers to overcome, and of course, sometimes civil society is key in keeping those messages in society loud and clear that women want representation, that they have a valuable role to play in decision making. They need to contribute to national decision-making. So the advocacy is an important part of the campaigns, the work by civil society and other organizations providing technical support on women's political participation.
Back to the results, and especially in Africa, are there countries where at least some efforts have been made to give women more chances in the political arena?
Yes, there are many countries that have made progress, even in the elections from 2016. We see that the countries that succeeded the most are those that have adopted temporary special measures or quotas, for example. We saw this in Senegal. They didn't have elections last year. They had elections in 2012. Rwanda is, in fact, the highest ranked country. So the quota is definitely one of the important ways of ensuring or guaranteeing women's political participation. In addition, in countries without legislated quotas, we see political parties taking their own measures. In South Africa, for example, the ruling party has adopted a 50-50 candidate quota for a number of years, and the reason for the high representation of women in South Africa is largely attributable to the quota adopted by the African National Congress.
Voilà, c'était Judith.
That was Judith Ballington, the political participation advisor to United Nations Women.